This was everyday life 7.9 million years ago, and somehow our ancestors didn't just survive, they thrived. Picture this. You're naked in the African wilderness, no phone, no weapons, just you. A saber-tooth cat watches from the shadows. Its fangs are longer than your entire hand. The sun burns your skin during the day. At night, temperatures drop so low your bones ache. How did cavemen actually survive when everything wanted to eat them? What's good, Rap Report family? Today we're going back, way back, before fire, before tools, before everything you know. We're talking about Sahelanthropus chadensis, jardensis, the oldest human ancestor we've found. These weren't quite humans yet. They weren't even proper cavemen. They were something in between apes and humans, walking on two legs sometimes, living in trees other times, and facing dangers we can't even imagine today. First, forget everything you know about Earth. Dead now, 7.9 million years ago, the world was completely different. Africa wasn't a desert. It was covered in thick forests and open grasslands. The Sahara? It was green with rivers flowing through it. The animals were insane. We're talking saber-tooth cats with 7-inch fangs, giant crocodiles that grew 30 feet long, prehistoric elephants twice the size of today's, terror birds that stood 10 feet tall and ran 30 miles per hour. The climate changed constantly. One day it's tropical hot. The next week, cold snaps hit without warning. Rivers would flood, then dry up completely. Our ancestors had no claws, no fangs, no thick fur. They were basically walking snacks for everything else. So how did they make it? Here's something crazy. While most apes stayed alone or in tiny groups, our ancestors did something different. They formed tribes, big ones. Sometimes 30 to 50 individuals lived together. Think about it. One caveman versus a saber-toothed cat, dead in seconds. But 30 cavemen throwing rocks and screaming? That cat thinks twice. Scientists found evidence in Chad, Africa. Multiple skeletons buried together, tools scattered around the same areas. Signs of communal living that other species didn't have. When one member got hurt, others helped. When food was found, they shared it. When danger came, they warned each other with special calls. This wasn't just friendship, it was survival math. More eyes meant spotting predators faster. More hands meant gathering food quicker. More bodies meant warmth during cold nights. Our ancestors had a superpower that nobody talks about. They could eat almost anything. While other animals specialized, cats ate meat, deer ate plants, our ancestors ate both, and more. They ate roots dug from underground, insects and grubs full of protein, bird eggs stolen from nests, bone marrow from dead animals, bark from certain trees, even dirt containing minerals. Their teeth prove it, flat molars for grinding plants, sharp canines for tearing meat, a combination that meant they never went completely hungry. When the fruit trees died in droughts, they ate termites. When animals migrated away, they ate roots. When everything seemed gone, they cracked open bones other predators left behind and sucked out the marrow. This flexibility meant they survived when specialized eaters died off. Here's where things get really interesting. Our ancestors started doing something no other ape did consistently, walking on two legs. This sounds simple, but it changed everything. Standing up meant they could see over tall grass, spot predators from far away, see food sources others missed. Free hands meant carrying things. They could grab food and run, carry babies while moving, hold sticks for defense. Walking upright also kept them cooler. Less body exposed to the hot sun day, better air circulation around their bodies. They could travel during the hot parts of the day when predators rested. Scientists tested this. A human walking uses 75% less energy than a chimp moving the same distance. Our ancestors could travel further, explore more areas, and find food others couldn't reach. Now here's the wildest part. Our ancestors' brains were tiny, about the size of an orange, but they used them differently. They recognized patterns. Red berries make you sick, blackberries are safe. When birds fly away suddenly, danger is coming. These tracks mean water is nearby. They remembered locations, where fruit trees grew, where predators hunted, where to hide during storms. They passed knowledge down. Mothers taught children which plants healed wounds. Fathers showed sons how to track animals. Grandparents shared stories of surviving disasters. This wasn't written down. It was shown, demonstrated, repeated until everyone knew it. Each generation got a little smarter, not because their brains grew cotter, that came later, but because they built on what came before. Our ancestors didn't make sophisticated tools yet, but they used what nature provided. Rocks became hammers to crack nuts. Sticks turned into digging tools for roots. Large leaves worked as containers for water. They used thorns as needles, vines as ropes, sharp stones as cutting edges. In Ethiopia, scientists found 7 million-year-old bones with cut marks, not from teeth, from stone edges. Our ancestors were already figuring out how to use objects as tools. They watched animals and copied them, saw birds dropping shells on rocks to break them, watched otters using stones to open shellfish, then tried it themselves. Every small innovation meant better survival. A sharp stone meant accessing meat faster. A good digging stick meant more roots to eat. A thrown rock meant scaring away competitors. Imagine waking up every day not knowing if you'll eat, or if something will eat you. Morning started before dawn. Our ancestors woke up in trees or hidden caves. They listened first. Any unusual sounds meant danger. They moved in groups to water sources, always watching. The youngest and oldest in the middle, the strongest on the outside. Daytime meant constant foraging, walking miles for a handful of berries, competing with baboons for fruit, stealing eggs while parent birds attacked. They avoided open spaces where eagles could swoop down, stayed away from the thick bush where leopards hid, knew which trees snakes preferred. Nighttime was terror. They couldn't see in the dark like cats, so they huddled together, took turns staying awake, made noise to seem bigger than they were. Every single day was about making it to the next one. Here's something scary. Our ancestors almost went extinct multiple times. Around 7 million years ago, climate change hit hard, forests shrank, food became scarce. Scientists estimate our ancestor population dropped to maybe just 10,000 individuals. Total, in all of Africa, that's smaller than a single town today. Diseases wiped out entire groups. A bad fruit season meant starvation. One successful predator attack could end a bloodline forever. But they adapted. When forests disappeared, they moved to grasslands. When regular food vanished, they found new sources. When old territories became dangerous, they migrated. They were survivors because they never gave up, never stopped trying, never stopped adapting. 7.9 million years ago, early humans proved that survival came from unity, adaptability, intelligence, and an unshakable will to keep going. No fire, no weapons, no technology, just pure determination and adaptation. They faced giant predators, climate disasters, and near extinction. Yet here we are today, their descendants, watching videos on phones they could never imagine. What do you think was their greatest survival trait? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this video blew your mind, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who thinks survival today is tough. This is Rap Report, reminding you that you come from a long line of survivors. Our ancestors made it through the impossible. What's your excuse? Peace out. 6.9 million years ago, our planet transformed into something monstrous. A world so cold, so hostile, that 90% of all species faced extinction. This wasn't just an ice age. This was Earth becoming an alien nightmare. 7 million years ago, Earth looked completely different. Lush forests covered the Sahara. Yes, the desert was green. Rivers flowed where sand dunes exist today. Hippos swam in lakes across North Africa. The Arctic had no permanent ice. Trees grew near the North Pole. Crocodiles lived in Greenland. Average global temperatures were 12 degrees warmer than now. Incredible creatures roamed everywhere. Deinotherium, elephants with downward curving tusks. Chalicotheres, PHP, horse-gorilla hybrids with massive claws. Amphicyonids, AGAGs, bear dogs weighing 600 pounds. Megalodons still hunted the oceans. Three-toed horses galloped across grasslands. Carbon dioxide levels stayed around 400 parts per million. This greenhouse gas acted like a thermal blanket, keeping Earth warm. Then, multiple disasters struck simultaneously. Continental plates shifted. Mountain ranges rose. Ocean currents changed direction. The comfortable climate system that existed for millions of years suddenly collapsed. Within 200,000 years, lightning fast geologically, temperatures plummeted globally. Paradise became purgatory. Several catastrophic events combined to create this cooling. Panama's land bridge finally connected North and South America. This blocked warm Pacific water from entering the Atlantic. Ocean circulation patterns, stable for 20 million years, instantly disrupted. The Himalayas underwent massive growth spurts. These mountains reached new heights, altering jet streams and monsoons across Asia. Weather systems that brought rain to certain regions completely redirected. Antarctica positioned itself perfectly over the South Pole. Surrounded by circulating currents, it became isolated from warm waters. The continent transformed into a giant freezer, pulling heat from the atmosphere. Volcanic activity decreased dramatically. Fewer eruptions meant less CO2 entering the air. Earth's natural heating system essentially shut down. Plants began pulling more carbon from the atmosphere. New grassland species absorbed CO2 faster than forests. They locked carbon underground in extensive root systems. Each change reinforced others. Cooling led to more ice. Ice reflected sunlight. Less heat meant more cooling. A vicious cycle began. Ice sheets advanced like slow-motion tsunamis. Starting from mountain peaks, glaciers crept downward. Each winter added layers. Summers couldn't melt the accumulation. Year after year, frozen masses grew larger. Scandinavia disappeared first. Mile-thick ice buried Norway, Sweden, Finland. The weight actually pushed land down hundreds of meters. North America came next. Glaciers stretched from Alaska to Missouri. Chicago's location sat under 2 kilometers of ice. New York, completely crushed. These weren't normal glaciers, they moved. Grinding forward at 100 meters annually, they demolished everything. Mountains got shaved flat, valleys carved out. Massive boulders transported thousands of miles. Sea levels crashed. With so much water locked in ice, oceans dropped 50 meters minimum. That's a 15-story building worth of water. Gone. Continental shelves became dry land. You could walk from France to England. Asia connected to Australia. The Caribbean islands merged into larger landmasses. Marine ecosystems collapsed. Coral reefs, needing specific depths and temperatures, bleached white then died. Coastal marshes vanished. Mangrove forests withered. While ice consumed northern regions, the Mediterranean experienced something equally terrifying. The Strait of Gibraltar sealed shut. Tectonic forces lifted the seafloor, creating a natural dam. Atlantic water couldn't enter anymore. Under the scorching sun, the Mediterranean evaporated. The entire sea, gone in just 1,000 years. What remained? A hellscape of salt deserts 3 kilometers below sea level. Temperatures at the bottom reached 80 degrees Celsius, 176 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to cook meat. Hypersaline lakes formed in the deepest spots. These toxic pools killed anything that touched them. Salt concentrations exceeded the Dead Sea by 5 times. Then Gibraltar reopened catastrophically. The Zanclean flood began, the history's most violent water event. The Atlantic Ocean burst through at 100 million cubic meters per second. Imagine Niagara Falls multiplied by 1,000 refilled. The Mediterranean refilled in under 2 years. This flooding sent shockwaves globally. Sudden weight on the seafloor triggered earthquakes. Tsunamis devastated coastlines. Climate patterns shifted again. The air itself turned hostile during this period. Methane nearly vanished from the atmosphere. This powerful greenhouse gas, produced by wetland bacteria, disappeared as marshes froze. Another heat-trapping layer eliminated. Oxygen levels increased slightly, good for breathing, terrible for temperature regulation. Oxygen doesn't trap infrared radiation like other gases. Dust storms became constant. With vegetation dying, exposed soil blew freely. Particles filled the sky, blocking sunlight. The jet stream weakened and wandered unpredictably. Weather patterns became chaotic. Decade-long droughts followed by catastrophic floods. No stability remained. Storm intensity increased paradoxically. Temperature differences between equator and poles drove powerful cyclones. Hurricane-force blizzards became common. Even the sky's color changed. Less water vapor meant clearer air. Stars appeared brighter. Auroras reached toward the equator. Sunsets lost their vibrant reds and oranges. Against impossible odds, some creatures adapted brilliantly. Woolly mammoths evolved specialized features. Blood vessels in their ears ran close together, warming incoming blood. Hemoglobin adapted to release oxygen at lower temperatures. 4-foot-long hair provided insulation. Bears developed 2 strategies. Some became polar specialists, MAS, white fur, webbed paws, blubber layers. Others hibernated longer, surviving winters underground. Horses grew smaller but hardier. Compact bodies conserved heat better. Hooves adapted for icy ground. Digestive systems processed poor-quality frozen grass. Plants developed antifreeze proteins. These molecules prevented ice crystals from forming inside cells. Evergreen needles replaced broad leaves. Seeds became cold-resistant. Insects created glycerol compounds. This natural antifreeze lets them survive being frozen solid. They could thaw and resume living. Our ancestors faced the ultimate evolutionary pressure. Australopithecus groups developed larger brains for problem solving. They created primitive tools, fire sharp stones for cutting meat, digging sticks for roots. Fire use possibly began during this era. Social cooperation intensified. Groups sharing food and shelter survived better. Language precursors emerged from necessity. Complex planning became essential. Most species weren't so fortunate. Large herbivores struggled finding food. Browsers starved as forests disappeared. Grazers competed fiercely for remaining grasslands. Predators faced cascading failures. With prey scarce, carnivore populations crashed. Pack hunters outcompeted solitary ones. Scavengers briefly thrived on carcasses, then starved too. Ocean life suffered massively. Warm water fish retreated to shrinking equatorial zones. Deep-sea creatures faced temperature drops and food shortages. Entire reef ecosystems vanished permanently. Freshwater systems froze solid. Lakes became permanent ice blocks. Rivers stopped flowing for decades. Even soil organisms died off. Frozen ground prevented decomposition. Nutrients stopped cycling. Plants couldn't grow even where temperatures allowed. Scientists estimate 65% of genera went extinct. Not species, the entire genera. Thousands of unique evolutionary lineages ended forever. The survivors would repopulate Earth, but into a fundamentally altered world. Ecosystems reassembled differently. Food webs restructured completely. Evolution took new directions. This ancient cooling shaped everything. Human evolution exploded. Environmental pressure forced bigger brains. Tool use became essential. Groups that cooperated survived. Geographic isolation created new species. Separated populations evolved differently. When ice melted, these groups met again, sometimes mating, sometimes fighting. Modern ocean currents started here. Weather patterns we know today began. Even soil locations reflect ancient glacier paths. Most importantly, the Ice Age cycle started. Earth now alternates between frozen and warm periods. We're living in a temporary warm phase right now. Genetic bottlenecks almost wiped out many species. Today's limited diversity comes from these near-extinction moments. Earth 6.9 million years ago, a frozen hellscape that nearly ended life as we know it. Glaciers crushing continents, oceans vanishing, our ancestors barely clinging to existence. Yet from this catastrophe came innovation. Crisis drove evolution. The savage cold ultimately produced beings capable of understanding their own history. Could you survive a world where temperatures drop 12 degrees? Comment below. Subscribe for more Earth history. Share with anyone who thinks winter today is tough. We're descendants of Ice Age champions. Peace! In a world full of dangers and mysteries, early humans faced questions they couldn't answer. Why did storms strike? Why did people die without warning? One curious caveman, Grok, started asking, who controls all of this? His search for answers led to the birth of the first religion. How did fear turn into faith? And could it all start with a single question? The truth might be even more surprising than you think. This is the story of how our cave-dwelling ancestors became the first people on Earth to believe in something bigger than themselves. This is how religion was born. Picture life 50,000 years ago. There were no cities, no houses, no schools, and definitely no smartphones. Early humans lived in small groups of maybe 20 to 30 people. They spent their days hunting animals, gathering berries and nuts, and trying not to become someone else's dinner. Life was hard and scary. Really, really scary. Every single day brought new dangers. Saber-toothed cats could jump out from behind rocks. Huge bears lived in the best caves. Poisonous snakes hid in the grass. And that was just the animals. The weather was even more frightening. Thunderstorms came out of nowhere, with lightning bolts that could split trees in half and start enormous fires. Sometimes the ground would shake so hard that rocks would fall from cliffs. Rivers would suddenly flood and wash away everything in their path. But the scariest thing of all? Death. These early humans watched their friends and family get sick and die, and they had no idea why. One day, someone would be laughing and sharing food around the fire. The next day, they would be cold and still, never to move again. Our ancestors were smart, but they didn't know about germs or viruses or heart attacks. They didn't understand earthquakes or weather patterns. To them, all these terrible and wonderful things had to be caused by someone or something with incredible power. Let's imagine we're following a caveman named Grok. Don't laugh at the name, it's what we think early humans might have been called. One evening, Grok was sitting outside his cave when the most amazing thing happened. The whole sky turned red and orange and purple like someone had spilled paint across the heavens. We know this as a sunset, But Grok had never seen anything so beautiful and mysterious. Who painted the sky? Grok wondered. What powerful being can change the colors of the whole world?